One of the newer tracks on the circuit, Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Ohio, has seen some great races and had most of the top men in motocross stand atop the podium. This year, the 125 class has come down to a two-man race for the title. James Stewart and Chad Reed have won all but 2 motos so far this year. 2 men, 1 goal, the 2002 championship. And in order for either of these riders to continue their quest for the title, they will have to add their name to the Kenworthy's elite. Hello everyone, and welcome to a very hot day here in Troy, Ohio, where we will see the 7th round of the 2002 AMA Chevy Trucks U.S. Motocross Championships. I'm your host, Davey Coombs, and joining me is former factory rider David Bailey and Cameron Steele down in the pits. This afternoon we will be watching the 125 national class as Chad Reed and James Stewart continue their 2-man duel for the title. Last week at Redbud, Reed and Stewart split moto wins. Chad Reed had trouble in the 2nd moto. That puts him way back in the point standings, 27 behind Stewart coming into Kenworthy's. For more, let's go down to Cameron Steele.
Well, guys, we're on our way down to the starting gate, and I caught up with Chad Reed. Chad, last week, a great first moto, 2nd moto, some problems, weren't able to get the bike started. You feel at all like the points are slipping away from you as James Stewart had a good 2nd race?
No, the points are, I'm very much in the championship still, and I was, a long way down before I got to Mount Morris, and little things like that happened to Stewart as well. So it's racing, and you never know what's going to happen. And it was just a problem that I've never had starting the bike. It's been happened in the past, but I've never had the problem before. So I guess if we need to get it out of the way, we need to get it out of the way now, and just from now on, just go after it.
Sounds like you're keen for a battle.
I'm ready to go. I've been training a lot and staying in Florida, so I've been training in the humidity and the heat, and I'm ready to go at it. Last week my riding was a lot better than what it's been lately, so I feel like I'm getting somewhere, and I crashed trying, so although it was a bad thing, I was happy that I was trying and pushing the limit. So this track this weekend, you can definitely push past the limit and maybe crash, so I just want to get a good start on that 4th stroke and go at it.
Right on. Well, he's got to get to the starting gate, but there's the words from the man. Back up to you guys.
Well, besides Reed, Brandon Jessman is hoping to get a win here and get a little closer in the points. Same goes with his Blimpie Suzuki teammate, Buddy Antonez, and the man they're all chasing, of course, David Bailey. It's James Stewart.
Look at that focus. Look at those eyes, man. You can tell he's here to do business. Didn't have a very good week, I don't think, coming into this race, but he looks pretty focused right now. The Suzuki fast lap, you can see the start all in the grass. They plowed that first corner so those guys can hook up around that sweeper. Then it's just a long, fast straightaway. The first really tricky section is the Dirty Dozen. A lot of different timing through there, and then some switchbacks before the Widowmaker, the Twin Peaks as they work their way back around to the fast section, the Autobahn. A nice berm left-hander. Those guys are dragging the handlebar and practice through there before they come back into the trees for the finish.
Looking at our Suzuki starting lineup, Reed will be number 103, Stewart's number 259, Ernesto Fonseca, don't count him out on the factory Honda, wearing number 24 today. A little further down, Josh Dima, National Arena Cross champion, been getting some good results on his YZ250F. And down at the bottom of the field, Chad Sanders, first national in 3 years, one of my District 5 guys. Now the card is sideways. We're getting ready to blast off at Kenworthy's here. Another concrete start, and there they go. That's Paul Varac on the outside. Coming up the long straightaway, it's going to be Demon. Sweeps in on the outside. There's Brock Sellards on the inside. Red Bull KTM, Danny Smith right there with them. And it looks like Sellards will get the lead. Brock Sellards, Red Bull KTM, won here a couple years ago, and this is the first time he's led this year, David.
He was smart through the first corner to pick up the lead. It feels so good to get in the lead of a race like this, especially because the track was pretty muddy in practice. It looks good now, but it's the kind of track that it bermed up in such a way that if you get a 10th, 15th place start, you get stuck there for a little while. So a good clean break for him, and Stewart is actually the one that's pretty far back in the pack.
Well, that's a great shot from our Dunlop Helicam. Back down to the field, you see Sellards with the lead. Chad Reed has moved into second, sweeping around the outside of Demuth there. They're going through the Dirty Dozen. Danny Smith is fourth. And you're right, David Bailey, I do not see James Stewart anywhere.
No, he's going to have to come through. And see how one line this is right now. Look at the crowd moving their way across the infield over to this side of the track. Great crowd in there watching this battle, and I think they can sense what I'm sensing right now, Davey, and that is that if Reed can't get around Sellards for a little while, well, there he goes.
On the inside, here comes Reed. He takes a stab. A little in and out move there, but Sellards is able to hold on and skip through the whoop section. Yes.
We got Stewart coming up through the pack. It's inevitable that he's going to find his way in this 30-minute moto plus 2 laps up near Chad Reed if he doesn't get away sooner. Now, look at the start from up top. You can see how these guys get close together, and if you're in the middle of the pack like Stewart was, you just get pinched. He just broke free of that pileup. He was lucky to get out of there. Take another look. It was a great start for Sellards coming in. He just stays underneath Demuth to get out of there on the inside. Now look at where Stewart was. He's in the middle of that mess. I don't know how he stayed up. He's banging bars with everybody. He's not the only one. But a lot of guys ended up going down. Good start for Larry Ward.
Saw Jessman up there. A better start than normal for him as well. So it's Sellards, Reed, Smith, Demuth, Larry Ward, Brandon Jessman, and then David, it looks like James Stewart has already clawed his way into 7th. Now down the Scott Autobahn, Chad Reed made a great pass right there. Sellards got a little off the beaten line and gave up the inside. Chad Reed is going to lead here at the end of the first lap as they go back down through the ruts. So it's Reed, Sellards, Smith, and Demuth. Coming around the corner here, you can see one good line on the inside. They kind of overwatered the track this morning, and that's going to make passing hard, but as we've seen, hasn't been too hard. Right here, Reed makes his pass for the lead.
Well, he decides to take a completely different line. It's a little bit of a gamble. He's got to go over what's a little bit muddier, but watch what happens to Sellards. He gets a little offline. This guy's going, oh no, I got to get out of here. He backs up. Sellards makes a good save, stays on the track, preserves second, but gives up the lead, and that could have been a lot worse.
Could have been a lot worse for that flagman, too. Now back up to the front of the pack, Reed, Sellards, Smith, and Larry Ward. Here comes Demuth, and Demuth almost goes off the track, and that's going to allow Stewart to come up by. Stewart had passed Jessman already in lap 2. So just like that, Stewart goes from 7th to 5th, and now he's right behind Larry Ward.
Watch Stewart. Just watch the way that he's already got around
right around the outside. It looked like Larry Ward, a little bit of the Matador defense there, just pulled over and waved the cape, and there he goes. And he quadruple jumps through the Dirty Dozen. You don't see guys do that on 125s very often here at Kenworthy's.
You don't see very much of anything that he does on 125s happening. Reed better hope that he can check out, because Stewart has already got him in his sights, and that battle that we've been waiting for is shaping up. Look at that.
Round the outside, Smith gives him a little look over, and once again, what can he do? Stewart, so creative with his passes, Dave. He almost looks like McGrath did in the early 90s on a 250.
Well, he's riding a different racetrack because his skill level is so far above what is going on out here in most of these riders. And like you said, his creativity allows him to do things that the other guys don't see coming, and that's why he gets such a great big space to make a lot of his passes. And I'm glad to see that too, because early on in the Supercross series, it seemed like all the passes he was making were pretty borderline aggressive, and now look at him, he just switches all over the place across the track and keeps you guessing until you finally blow it.
This is the battle for second. Chad Reed is your leader, but James Stewart is coming. Now this is where Sellards got passed by Reed the last time through, and this time he was able to hold on the gas. He was able to hold Stewart off there. It looks like Stewart took a look over to see if Smith was going to come up behind him. Into the berm, out on the inside, down through the ruts.
Stewart just dragging the handlebar right there. He's carrying so much more speed. He's laid over before he gets to the corner.
There you see his mechanic, Jeremy Albrecht, telling me he's in 3rd, but you have a feeling that's not going to last very long. There went Reed past, and I think that after we get... Now let's have a word with Cameron. He's down there with J-Bone.
Jeremy, not not exactly the start you're looking for, but it seems like James is charging right through the pack.
Yeah, you know, top 10 start. I mean, basically, if we don't crash in our first turn, it's a good start at this point. He can kind of come, you know, last week came from 39th to second, so confidence is there with speed on the track, so I think we'll be all right.
You looking forward to a little James Stewart, Chad Reed battle?
Yeah, this might be the day, isn't it? Yeah, that'll be good.
We'll see.
All right, thanks.
Well, we thought we might have that battle last week, but at the top of the show, we showed you that wreck that Chad Reed had. Now, from our Dunlop helicamera, here comes Stewart on the outside, and look at that over jump. Goes right past the braking bumps and right past Brock Sellards.
So much smarter. He doesn't show those guys that very often, but when he needs to pass somebody, he jumps all the way out there and makes it stick.
When we come back, Reed in first, James Stewart is second. Speedboat's presentation of AMA Motocross is brought to you by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. And by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Honda, performance first. Back at Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Ohio, Chad Reed on the Yamaha Troy motorcycle out front. James Stewart is second. These are your second and first ranked riders, and this is basically the first time we've seen them together this year, David Bailey.
And you know what? I'm so excited right now, because, and the crowd is too. You can hear them getting loud. These guys can feel the energy right now. Reed was a couple of tenths faster yesterday in the practice session. Yamaha Troy, his sponsor, just down the road, and here we go.
Now, who has the advantage right now? Stewart from coming up from behind or Reed being out front?
Well, I think Stewart's got a lot more options going on because he had to figure out ways to get around everybody to get in this position. So he's definitely got a little bit more versatility right now than Reed does. Reed tends to ride his favorite line a little bit more than Stewart. And Stewart's got to create that opportunity. He's not the one with the pressure. He's the one that go, hey, I caught this guy. He's mine.
Stewart is a rookie. This is his first visit to Kenworthy's, but it's also Chad Reed's first visit. He spent his last season racing in Europe. Down the Scott Autobahn they come. Onto the inside. Here go. Oh, and Chad Reed messes, and he stops him. Chad Reed goes down. They're stuck together. Stewart can't get his bike on. There he goes. Chad Reed, an unforced error, and he just gave the lead back to James Stewart. We finally got to see them together, and they stopped.
I'm going to yell at him when this is over. Man, this was going to be the best race. He goes into the inside berm, goes over, and that's that. Look at the outside berm. He should have taken the line that Stewart was taking, and he's probably thinking the same thing. Get out of the way.
Shows you how deep the berm is right there. Stewart could not get his bike out. Could have ran over that bike, but that probably would have done more damage. So let's reset the field. Stewart out front, Sellard second, Brandon Jessman up the third, and there comes Ernesto Fonseca in fourth. Reed has recovered for fifth.
I don't believe it. That just wrecked the whole deal. That was so good. They were fairly evenly matched. I mean, it seemed like Stewart might have had just a touch more speed, but, you know, it's early in the race. Look at this battle.
Fonseca slips underneath Jessman, who was trying to get past Sellards, and here they come, three abreast down the Twin Peaks straightaway. Sellards will hold on to second. Fonseca is third, Jessman is fourth. And there was a nice little mix-up, but already you see James Stewart leaving the picture.
If I was that guy, I'd get the heck out of that spot. Well, he's the flagger. I guess he's got to stand there, but he better be on his toes because those guys are coming. Look at this pack. These guys are really racing for it.
Jessman had a shot at second, and then he gave it away, and now he's starting to get some pressure from Reed. Stewart out front as they come around to complete another lap. There is Sellards. He's got, and Fonseca slips. Fonseca goes down on the face of the jump. Another little washout right there. David, is this track slick or what?
Well, you just go from tacky to hard packed and dry and slick, and you go into the shade and the shadows, hard to find your rut. There's a lot of variety out here, and these guys are pushing it as hard as they can right now. What a great battle. Fonseca gets around Jessman, couldn't quite get around Sellards. That led to this, on the brakes hard, trying to create something. You can see the reaction time had to be quick from Jessman and not get caught up in that. Reed's going, all right, that just makes my job easier. He's still in this, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get back up to Stewart. Stewart is he's pulling away from these guys right now. He's not even in the picture.
There you see Reed swing to the outside. He's trying to find a way back around Jessman in a long jump, and he took a move right out of Stewart's playbook that time. Over jumping the little plateau, lands out on the flat, gets on the gas quicker. moves into third.
He's mad right now. You can tell. You can tell. He just jumped down that thing. He did that triple going, I don't care what line he's taking. Yeah, he's coming into me. If anybody goes down, it's going to be him. I got to get back up there. That was stupid. I lost the lead. What was I thinking? Look at this. He goes out wide while Jessman was trying to correct from a little bit of a wheelie, getting the gas too soon. Reed just flies in the flat, a Stewart trick right there. And then look at these lines coming together. Reed doesn't even flinch. It's like, get out of my way, this is my line. I got a wheel on you, I'm taking my lines.
Man, I wish we'd had a photographer right there. That'd have been a cover photo.
There you see Reed's board. Push it, 218. That's a little slower than what they were doing yesterday. That's probably gonna get a little quicker as they get the track dialed in. He is already pushing it as hard as he can. Trying to create some different lines. Look at that, jumps back across the groove. Trying to make things flow a little bit more. You can see with that little bit extra power and supercross ability, he gets over that triple and creates some here.
This is the same tabletop where Stewart was able to pass Sellards, and this time Reed keeps it down low but makes the pass nonetheless. Sellards, we should tell you, has been sick a lot of the season with the Epstein-Barr virus. Told me before the race he had a little bit of stomach cramping going yesterday, so the hot weather probably not playing into his game. And on the inside, look at that's Matt Walker, who has suddenly joined the battle for second here. Walker, a good charge through the pack, and now Jessman's going to go around Sellards on the outside, and he makes the pass stick. So now it's Reed in second, Jessman third, Sellards fourth, and Walker has joined the battle for fifth, but they're all chasing Bubba Stewart. David, you can tell there's a little bit of television blood in that Gosler family.
Yeah, he's got it down. You know what? That's the first one where I've learned something. I don't know how the heck to bleed the brakes. I used to leave that up to my mechanic, but yeah, nice job.
Back to the battle for fourth. This is Sellards on the KTM number 68. Matt Walker has come right up, and he's going to try an outside line. Sellards holds on. Fonseca, after that little crash, is recovered. Here comes nice block pass on the inside. Walker went in and prevented either of the guys behind him from jumping the first few of the Dirty Dozen, and he takes fourth. Good pass by Walker.
That was nice, and I was worried about it because the lap before he got in there and tried to do the same thing, but then he couldn't jump through there and he lost a ton of time. Now watch how aggressive he is. Just gets right in there and makes sure he beats him to that line right there, and then Fonseca's stuck. Nobody can do anything, and he makes the pass. And he's a little faster than those guys, so he just needed to get in front of them so he could pull away and catch the guys in front of him. He's moving.
Walker, of course, the only rider on the Simple Green Pro Circuit team with a victory this year. He won the Houston Supercross, an upset of sorts. Now Fonseca has also gone by Sellards. Sellards appears to be tiring a little bit. He's slipped back to sixth. So it's Stewart, Reed, Jessamine, Walker, Fonseca, and Brock Sellards as they get to the end of the Twin Peaks section.
And Jessamine has latched on to Reed, and those guys are having a good battle. Reed went around him, and Jessamine has not let him go. Those guys aren't making any time on this kid, but they are in a great battle of their own.
Stewart, the view from the Dunlop Helicam as James goes to the far section of track, turning a 2:19 lap time, and he's getting ready to come back to that Dirty Dozen section.
Looks like he had a tear-off hung up on his left hand. Yeah, he does. He can't get rid of it.
Mechanic J-Bone, I don't know if he would pull in to have a tear-off dislodge. And there you see Zach White. That is Chad Reed's mechanic. So they're waiting to see if Reed can catch back up to Stewart. He had the lead, but then he fell over in the corner. The two of them got hung up. And just like that, Stewart had an 8-second lead, and now David, it looks like it's getting even bigger.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's not even scaring the flagman anymore.
You know, the thing that happens sometimes when he was sick this week and wasn't feeling too good and ride all that much, and when you come in like that, sometimes you feel like, man, I'm going to be hurting this time. You know, these guys are going to put a beating on me, and then you ride a little bit more relaxed. Your expectations are slightly different. Your groove is slightly interrupted, and you know, I've experienced it where I just felt like I might have a bad day, and it's hard to explain why, but you usually come out smelling like a rose. You can't continue that for very long, but a lot of times you see guys that have a cold or something, and they don't think they're going to do well, and they do great.
It's the same as when you see a guy almost miss the start, and then he goes out and gets the whole shot.
Yeah, it changes the whole deal.
Wait a second. Reed slowed down. You saw him pound the handlebar, and he just let Jessamine by. Chad Reed just gave Jessamine the go-ahead in a second. Looked over his mechanic, Zach White, and he is slowing down, David.
Yeah, he did. He made another little gesture just before he went up over that little bump there between the switchbacks. He kind of shook his head like something is definitely wrong. He is irritated.
We saw a shoulder pop out Southwick. We saw him not be able to get the bike started at Redbud. This time it looks like he's healthy, as you just saw Jessamine almost go down that slick lane. And here comes Walker, and he is going to go by Reed as well. No, Reed comes out and jumps it. That time he didn't jump. Didn't go on the inside.
Looks like, though, that Davey, that Reed's just he's just surviving right now. He's not riding the ground.
Oh, man. That looked like it hurt a little bit. Chad Reed's got problems. Let's go down to Cameron Steele with his mechanic.
Zach, last time through the pit area, it looked like Chad had slowed up a little bit. Any insight on what's going on?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a flat front tire.
Tough to run on it, but it's not real loose out here like it was in practice. It's not real muddy. Can he keep going?
He'll keep going, but not near the pace he was.
Right on, sorry to hear it.
Yeah, it happens occasionally. I'll deal with it.
Chad Reed not getting the brakes that you need in AMA motocross, and he is going backwards again. We saw him DNF the first moto at Southwick with the shoulder problem. We saw him not be able to get his bike started at Redbud, and now a flat front tire. David, this is a pivotal race.
Yeah, you know what? It was pivotal when he made that mistake for the lead and Stewart got by. Then he was getting into it with Jessamine a little bit. And then here's what it led to. You can see he's mad. And it's hard to see that front tire, but definitely that's what it is. That totally explains it. And the frustration, because he actually took a little bit of time back out of Stewart's lead until he had the problem with the front tire. Now, of course, with the front, it's slick right there already, but with a flat front tire, you're done.
Wow, hits the cone right there. Walker gets hung up on him. See the photographer scrambling out of the way. He kept the bike running that time. At least he didn't have to start it, but he cannot go 100%. As Zach White said, his pace is going to drop drastically. Now, the white flag out, that's Jessamine in second. A little ways back to Matt Walker. This would be his best national finish of the year. He is in third. Fonseca holds on to fourth. But out front, it's this guy, number 259, 16-and-a-half-year-old James Stewart.
He's had his share of kind of tough breaks, you know. He hurt his knee, he had a bike problem a couple times in a row, last place starts. You know, he's just been able to deal with his problems a little bit better than Reed has, and they've been a little bit more timely than Reed's, but yeah, I want to see these guys battle each other, and I know Reed wants to battle, and I think these guys actually, you know, really want to battle with each other, and it just, something always keeps them from it. Jessamine is just picking up all the leftovers and building confidence a little bit at a time.
Stewart halfway through the last lap. He's getting ready to go down the Twin Peaks section. Another fine performance coming from behind, introducing himself to this Kenworthy's crowd and just flying down this track. And you know what? He's still got the tail stuck to him.
That would bug me to death.
A perfect moto other than that.
Yeah. Well, he'll be happy to know that Reed, it doesn't look like Reed's going to get points, Davey. I mean, he is right around 20th right now, and that's just a bummer. If that was a flat rear tire, he could probably still stay in the top 15, but as soon as the front one goes flat, you can't make that front end go where you want. And that's why these guys ride so far forward these days. It's so important to have that front end underneath.
Down around the last corner, this is it for Bubba Stewart. The checkered flag comes out, and he just picked up 25 more points on Chad Reed. Gary Bailey began his career as a professional motorcycle racer on the dirt ovals of Southern California. When European riders invaded the U.S. in the 1960s to promote the sport of motocross, Gary entered one of the events just to see what this new form of racing was all about. One moto later, and he was hooked. In 1969, in an Inter-Am race at Saddleback Park, Bailey became the first American to beat the Europeans.
If your power is decreasing in any way, shape, or form.
4 decades later, Gary is more involved than ever. He moved to Axton, Virginia in 1975 and built a home and a motocross school on the edge of Lake Sugar Tree.
Back into this motorcycle right now.
Commonly referred to as the professor of motocross, Gary Bailey's schools are one of the foremost in the world.
Go down so it gets lift to come back up.
A couple of riders from the current crop of motocrossers that Gary has worked with include Ricky Carmichael and Travis Pastrana. Gary designed and built the first Daytona Supercross track in 1971, not to mention every Daytona track since. Gary still lives at Lake Sugar Tree. Want more information? Check out his website, GaryBailey.com. He is one of the true pioneers of motocross. Back to today's action, Chad Reed just now crossing the finish line. You can see he is angry. He is 23rd, 0 points. Let's go down to Cameron with the winner.
James, another moto win, but this one wasn't handed to you by any means, was it?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I got a horrible start back there, and I just started pushing my way up. I think I was around 10th, and Chad was in second or third, and got in the lead quick. I mean, I knew I had to get around those guys because he started pulling away, and it's hard to catch. But today I caught him pretty easy, and it's usually me who's just like falling over, but now these guys are just falling over, making it a little bit easier for me.
I understand you guys came together at one point out on the track when you were passing him.
Oh yeah. I lost a lot of time. I mean, he fell in front of me, and I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he keep his leg right there for like I couldn't go. I kept going and like he'd move it and put it back in the same place, and but it was tough.
It all worked out in the end, though. We'll see you in Moto 2, James.
Thanks.
See the look on James's face, not 100% today, but nonetheless he takes the win. Jessamine second. Solid ride for Walker in third. Fonseca is fourth. Sellards holds on to fifth. And our top privateer, Larry Ward, the Moto XXX Yamaha team, finishes sixth. Let's go back to Cameron.
Brandon, that was actually a battle out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, James and Chad never run really fast. I mean, I got a little slow reaction off the start. Just got to capitalize on that for the next moto so I can start up with them guys. Because at James and they go so fast, you got to start with them to definitely want to beat them.
You talked about the start specifically. I want to ask you, coming off the concrete into the grass, that's totally new for the outdoors so far this year.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you come off the concrete and it was a little wet too after you got off the concrete into the dirt. So I spun a little bit, just got to get a better reaction, don't spin, and hopefully come out and beat these guys next moto.
Right on. We'll see if you can do it.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Welcome back to Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio, as we get ready for the second moto of the 125 National Class. You see Paul Baracca once again lined up on the outside. Further in, you have your leaders, James Stewart, Chad Reed, who DNF'd that first moto. Second place was Brandon Jessamine. Now, Jessamine put in an excellent ride, and the thing is, his bike was not running very well, at least not as well as compared to his Blimpie Suzuki teammates, Buddy Antonez and Danny Smith. Cameron Steele went investigating, and this is what he came up with down at the starting line.
Well, guys, I asked Roger DeCoster, is there anything you can do to find a little more speed for Moto number 2? He said the bike was running rich in Moto 1, and they went through the whole carburetor in the bike. They couldn't find anything wrong with it. The other bikes in the team are running fine. So what they did is change the ignition just as a precaution, and they hope that gives them just a little bit more to catch up with James Stewart here in Moto 2.
Get out of the way, Cameron. The cart is sideways, and they're getting ready to come up the long start stretch again, and they're off. Here they come right up the middle, and it's Jessamine on that bike, and he goes too far outside. He can't make the corner. Brandon Jessamine, they must have done too much to it. Couldn't make the start, but look at the other two Suzuki. Smith in first, Antonez second, Eric Sorby is third, then comes Sellards, and James Stewart, a much better start this time. He's in fifth.
And Fonseca does a beautiful wheel tap to get over that triple.
Oh, and someone went down, and that was Fonseca. No sooner than you said that, David. Sorry, Fonseca goes down, and Stewart almost goes down.
That was close. Stewart, though, somehow always comes out a little bit better than everybody else. A nice save. That could have been a disaster. He and Fonseca could have been coming from last. Instead, he's right up there where he needs to be, and he's ahead of Chad Reed, who's got to be just steaming after having that problem. There he is, only a few positions further back from Stewart. This could be a good one.
So it's Smith, Antonez, Sorby, Stewart, Sellards, and that looks like the next rider through might be Steve Boniface. And in fact it is. Boniface is in sixth. Up over the Widowmaker, Danny Smith, your leader, number 37. Antonez fighting off Sorby for second, and then comes Stewart. Reed up into seventh place.
Yeah, just Jessamine. And if he hadn't gone wide in the start, it'd be a few Suzukis up front, and it's great to see that those guys got those bikes running so well. What happened to the 4-strokes and those KTMs that were dominating starts for so long? The Suzuki guys got them beat here at Troy.
See, actually a little bit of dust starting to come up. Like we had said earlier, they kind of overwatered in the morning, but looks like they had to. Now here comes Stewart on the inside. Makes an easy pass to the Frenchman. Start out the long straightaway. They call that the Twin Peaks. Here's a shot from above from the Dunlop Helicam. Suzuki 1 and 2, Kawasaki 3 and 4, and then a couple KTMs, then Chad Reed.
See the different line of Stewart. He looked over to his right, decided to square that corner, and Sorby was coming in hot on the inside, trying to get him back after leaving the door wide open a moment ago. And look at that, just down the inside into the ruts, caught.
Stewart goes past Antonez, and he is now second, wasting no time after that 5th place start. James Stewart, your first moto winner, on the gas. Reed is going to have to pick it up immediately if he's going to avenge himself from that first moto.
Antonez had a few times during this series, starting with Budds Creek that I can remember, his couple of second-place starts, to take a good look at Stewart and figure out what's going on. At Budds Creek, he couldn't even keep him in sight. It's been a little closer since, but look at this. He just gets ridden right around. Stewart just looks like he's going through that berm for a photo shoot, foot up high, dragging the bar just on his way, rode right through Antonez, already pulled away from him, and now let's see if he can do it again to Smith. Doesn't look it's going to be as easy, but it does seem inevitable.
Back through the whoop section, and it was that easy, David. Oh, it was that easy.
He's just got a different line through there that no one else has been able to pick up on. He carries the front wheel real high and just rolls all the way over a couple, and he's able to do it on the inside with more speed, which is almost an insurance policy for a pass-through there each lap. There's the section right there after the Widowmaker. See Danny Smith get shoved wide, and Stewart sets himself up better, and he wheelies all the way over those 3. Right down to the inside. You see that they've got a pretty good lead on Antonez, and still don't see Chad Reed in that picture. So it looks like Stewart may be able to check out from Reed once again, and Reed is not going to be happy about that. At the top of the show, he talked about, no, I'm okay in the points. You know, even though it was 27, he goes, it's a long ways to go, but it's going to be ugly after today.
You know, I mentioned earlier in the show that James Stewart had taken a chapter out of Jeremy McGrath's book, how creative he is with the lines. But David, this is another thing McGrath was doing when he was dominating Supercross, getting to the front of the pack immediately and going away. He wastes no time behind anyone.
Well, that, you know, the thing about that too is the strategy there is if you can pull it off. Look at Reed trying to get his way up through the pack, is that he might not have to ride that hard for the last half of the race, but no one's close to him to see that. You know, they just assume that he's unbelievable, and he is in the first part of the race, but somebody needs to push that kid for the entire moto and see what happens.
Well, it might be Reed right there. He made 2 quick passes, first Sorby, then Antonez, but already you just caught a glimpse of James Stewart. He is a straightaway and a half ahead of Chad Reed. Round 7 of the 1997 AMA National Championship Series at Kenworthy's MX Park turned out to be one of the toughest race days in motocross history. The thermometer topped out at 100 degrees with high humidity that pushed the heat index to 115 degrees. 2 riders who had the least trouble with the heat were Canyon Country, California's Damon Huffman and Tallahassee, Florida's Ricky Carmichael. In both motos, Huffman got the whole shot and was able to hold on for the win. Carmichael, riding for the Splitfire Pro Circuit team in his rookie year, got close to Huffman each time, but every time he did, Huffman dug a little deeper and found a little more, earning the overall victory in one of the toughest days ever in motocross history. Well, Damon Huffman was able to win the Kenworthy's National twice in his career, but today fell on the first lap of the first moto, and in the second moto, he is running about 15th on the MotoWorldRacing.com Suzuki. Now, this is Brandon Jessman you're watching. He has moved up into 5th place, had that sure hole shot, and just could not make the corner. And now he's getting ready to work on his Blimpie Suzuki teammate, that's Buddy Antonez, as he tries to climb up and get close to the 3 front runners, and that is Stewart, Reed, and Danny Smith.
It's nice to have a lot of guys on a team that are all doing well, but what sometimes happens is you're trying to be kind of nice when you pass your teammates, and there's so dang many teammates up there. These guys aren't riding as aggressive as they could be. And I don't know what that's saying.
I think that said very good, but I don't know. But here comes Jessman on the inside, and he is able to make the pass on Antunes. Antunes doesn't really seem to have the aggressiveness that he showed us at both Red Bud and at Bud's Creek. Not adapting well in his first visit back to Kenworthy's in a few years. Of course, Buddy riding arena cross for the last few years. The view from the Dunlop Helicam as they go out the Twin Peaks straightaway. People might remember that's where Jeff Emig had his big crash in 1993. And this year, the riders making it look a lot easier than it did back in the days of Fro and Doug Henry. Danny Smith is now in second place. He has gotten around Chad Reed. Chad Reed must have had problems back there, but Smith is now in second.
This is a hard place for the mechanics. Besides being hot, it's a hard place for them to see without any elevation.
And there comes Reed on the inside, and he makes the pass right before they get in the whoop section. So Reed is into second, but it is a long ways to James Stewart.
Well, he's the next fastest guy on the racetrack. May have been just a little bit faster after he went down and gave the lead to Stewart. He took a little time out of him, as I said, before he got that front brake problem. And he was able to kind of do that little 3-wheel tap through the section where Stewart has been making time. They're the only two that I see doing that consistently, and Sorby's having problems.
Right there, you saw the pro circuit guys don't have as much problem passing each other. Sometimes they just let the other guy go by. Sorby let Matt Walker go around him, but you know what? Walker is on fire today.
He is riding strong, and it does look like Sorby. Well, that wasn't necessarily the best line right there, and I think he understands that Walker is doing a little bit better. Besides that, go for it. It's nice to see that amongst teammates.
Now Walker's going to probably have a little harder time with Antunes, but Antunes got way to the outside, almost next to that banner, and here comes Walker up the inside, so he makes that pass, makes it stick in the corner, and now he is starting to head a little further up into the pack. Third place in the first moto. Matt Walker now running fifth, and that is a lap rider up ahead of him. The next rider he's going to see will be Brandon Jessamine. Back out front, the Dunlop Helicam, the only thing able to stay up with James Stewart so far today here in Ohio.
He's not even trying to wheel tap that little triple right there. He's just trying to use everything he can, get the power down to be able to jump it clean, and he's been getting over it pretty good. He's just having fun out there right now, but you know what, Davey, I have never seen him look as tired as he did when he pulled off the track in that first moto. In fact, I can't recall a time I've ever seen him tired, even coming from last, like he did at Anaheim and then at Red Buddy. But today's a different story.
Whoa, Smith almost goes down. That's the same corner that Chad Reed fell in the first moto, and that allows Jessman to get a hook in his teammate. See the Suzuki personnel stand alongside the track, waving him on. A little further back now, here comes Fonseca. We caught just a glimpse of him crashing on that first lap. Ernesto working his way back up. He goes by Sorby into seventh place, and Antunes is next for the Team Honda rider.
This is usually a great place for Fonseca because of all the timing. And he is fast. He may be one of the fastest guys on the track right now in this particular moto, having to come from so far back like that. He may equal his first moto finish. He's got the little wheel tap deal going through the section right there as well, creating some opportunity to try to get around Buddy. Ernesto, such an advantage to be hanging around with Ricky, spending some time down there in Florida with him. Great guy to learn from, and you know, Ricky's probably at times maybe a little hard on Ernesto, going, come on, man, you know, I'll win on that thing. And he just might do that at Delmont if he ruins his streak.
Well, you said before, David, winning is contagious, and no one wins like Ricky Carmichael right now. Now here comes Fonseca up the inside. He made the same pass on Antunes. We saw Walker make the lap before. The Budman's going to have to change that line coming up the Twin Peaks straightaway. Stewart out front when we return to Kenworthy's. Speedworld's presentation of AMA Motocross is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. Honda, performance first. and by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. Well, Ernesto Fonseca has moved into 6th place here in the second moto at Kenworthy's. He's coming up behind Matt Walker. Whoa, Walker. Wow, Matt Walker crashes with less than 2 laps to go. He was running in 5th. He would have been 3rd overall. David, what in the heck just happened?
Well, you've heard the term cross-ruddered. He got a little cross-ruddered right there. The front wheel dove into another one, and as soon as it turned, it just stopped him. How about the way the bike stopped?
Straight up and down over the bars for Walker. The dirt here at Kenworthy's so thick and so hard-packed it does not give. But all day long, this guy has not had much of a problem with it. James Stewart, well on his way to another victory here in the 125 National Motocross Championships. This would extend his points lead. He has had a very impressive afternoon.
Well, he's been able to hold off Reed. Reed back there in 2nd, but nowhere near him, and Reed had him in sight early on. After that first moto disaster, flat front tire for Reed, this is going to give Stewart so many points. He can skip Unadilla and still have the points lead.
This would also mark his 5th overall win of his rookie season, at least in the outdoor series. That matches the amount of wins that Travis Pastrana had back in 2000 in his highly celebrated rookie year. But the record, 8 125 national wins. Ricky Carmichael did it back in 1997, and who'd have thought someone would be starting to close up on a Carmichael record? But that is exactly what James Stewart is doing. One more corner to go here at Kenworthy's MX Park. A perfect afternoon for James Stewart. 1-1 to extend his points lead. Chad Reed finishes 2nd, then it's Blimpie Suzuki's Danny Smith and Brandon Jessman 3rd and 4th. Fonseca inherits 5th on the last lap from Matt Walker, who threw away a sure podium finish. Now let's go down to the winner's circle. Cameron is with Bubba.
Well, guys, I caught up with our champion today, 1-1, winning both motos, James, leaving here with the commanding points lead.
Yeah, I mean, that second moto I had to dig down deep. That first moto, my stomach was hurting really bad, and I didn't really want to do an interview because I was kind of like, but I mean, you know, that shows the true heart of the champion. I mean, I want to win so bad. I mean, I can ride hurt, I can ride from the back of the pack, I can, you know, I just want to win. That's all I want.
Well, you've been going back and forth with Chad Reed. I know you didn't know during the moto number 1 that is, that Chad had fallen out of the points, but when you come back from moto number 2, does it give you just a little bit of a boost to know you're gaining so many points? So you gained 25 points on Chad in moto 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, for the points lead, I mean, for me, it's awesome. I think I got a race lead now. Coming down here about 27 points and coming out with a race lead, that's awesome. And, you know, I'm sorry to hear what happened to him, but, I mean, it helps me out a lot.
You guys have definitely been going back and forth. Your health's 100% now?
Yeah, I mean, my health is good. Just my stomach's been giving me a lot of problems. And, but, you know, no excuses. I mean, I rode good, and I'm happy.
Right on. That's your champion, guys. James Stewart, 1-1 for the overall champion today.
Behind Stewart, Brandon Jessman 2nd overall. His teammate Danny Smith 3rd. Fonseca and Sellards round out the top 5. Chad Reed's 23-2 is good for 7th overall. And right now he is with Cameron.
Chad, a 2nd place in moto number 2 is nice, but it must have been frustrating what happened in moto 1.
You know, what happened in moto 1 was just one of those things, and all part of racing, you know, that's what makes it interesting. And you know, I don't find it interesting, but I guess that's what you can call it. You know, I just want to thank the team for staying behind me, trying to do the best they can to get me up on top. I just got to, you know, get myself together, and hopefully all the bad luck's out of the way now and just go for after this thing.
Well, the fans at home won't right now see the 250 moto, but I know you have a bet with Tim Ferry. Whoever finishes lower has to wear their gear home on the plane. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, you know, I've been staying in Florida, and we've been working really hard, and it seems like we're working hard and we're getting nowhere, so we just got to keep at it, and, you know, he's got to try and beat Ricky's win streak, and I got to try and get after this championship. So, you know, I just like to thank the Ferries for letting me and my girlfriend Ellie stay there, and, you know, we're having a lot of fun, and, you know, Parts Unlimited, Thor, Yamaha Troy, and Yamaha Boost Mobiles, just to everybody for keeping this bike on half the time on 2 wheels, and yeah, keeping me going. Right on. We'll see you next week at Unadilla. Thanks a lot.
Well, Reed was smiling in the winner's circle, but he could not mask his disappointment. He has fallen 55 points behind James Stewart. Jessman up to third, 1 point ahead of Fonseca, and then Smith 91 back. David Bailey, what can Chad Reed do now?
He's doing what he should be doing, and he was fast. Like he said, he's been training hard. It's just been crazy things and some bad luck that are keeping him behind. Hopefully that's out of his system now, and he can go after Stewart.
For David Bailey and Cameron Steele, I'm Davey Coombs saying so long, everyone. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.